All right, here we're on 411 practice, and this is one of the tougher things that you're asked to do in sixth grade math. Okay, so you're like, dude, this is tough. It is pretty tough. Okay, so we're taking volume, but we're actually, instead of it being filled with like 1 inch cubes or something like that, it's fractional ones. So you're still doing length times width times height, right? Or area of the base times height, but you're having to divide it into smaller parts. So on this first one here, our little cubes are 1/4 by 1/4 by 1/4, okay? As opposed to 1 by 1 by 1. Okay, so that means, okay, that for this 3 right here, that to see how many 1/4ths are in 3 means you're taking 3 and you're dividing it into fourths. Okay, you need to make sure you show all of this work. So you're taking 3, you can put any whole number over 1, then you're keeping the first number, 3 over 1, sorry, then changing to multiplication, then flipping the second number to 4 over 1. So this is how you multiply fractions, right? Keep the first one, change to multiplication, flip the second one. Therefore, it's 12. So if you have 3 feet, right, then you need 12 1/4 foot cubes. Okay, so 3 feet divided into fourths gives you 12. Okay, 2 3/4 feet. Okay, so now we got 2 3/4, and we're dividing it into fourths. How many fourths are in 2 3/4? Well, 2 times 4 is 8 plus 3 is 11 fourths. Divided into fourths actually is going to give us 11 pretty clearly. All right, but here's the way the work should look. Simplify before you multiply, and you get 11. 11, the little cubes. If you got 4 feet, okay, so this one right here, and we got to divide it into fourths. So it's going to be, once we do keep, change, flip, 4 times 4, which is 16 little cubes. Okay, therefore, the total volume of the little cubes is going to be the 12 times the 11 times the 16 is how many of the 1/4 inch cubes would fit. Right, so you're taking the length times width times height of the 4-foot cubes. So 12 times 11 times 16. Okay, 12 times 11 is 132. 132 times 16. 18, there's 19. 6, 7. Okay, so then this is 132. 2, 11, 11, 2. All right, so 2112, okay, is going to be how many? 2,112 of the little 1/4 inch foot cubes. Now, the volume in cubic feet is actually much easier in a sense because that's where you're just doing the volume like we did yesterday's practice. So the 3 times the 2 3/4 times the 4. Okay, remember commutative property, you can do them in any order when multiplying. So I would rather do the 3 times the 4 first, which is 12, times 2 3/4. Okay, so 2 3/4 is, that's 2 times 4 is 8 and 3 is 11. So 12 over 1 times 11 fourths. Simplify that by 4, so you get 3 times 11 is 33 cubic feet. All right, so that was number 1. There's 3 on here because I know these are, a bit of work. All right, this one is a 1/4. Again, it's centimeters. Okay, so we're going to take the 2 1/2, and we're going to divide that into fourths because we need to know how many fourths it takes to make 2 1/2. So it's 5 halves divided by 1/4. Keep, change, flip, 5. 5 halves times 4 over 1. So 5 times 2 is 10. So that's 10 of the little cubes. If you have 2 and you divide it into fourths, right? So 2 over 1 divided by 1/4. 2 over 1 times 4 over 1. So it's going to be 8. And then 1 3/4 is going to be, so if we convert that to an improper fraction, 7/4 divided by 1/4 into fourths, 7/4 times 4 over 1, which is 7. So therefore, the total volume of these cubes is going to be 10 times 8 times 7, right? Length times what? Times height of these cubes. Now, if you do commutative property here, 8 times 7 is 56 times 10 is 560 of the little cubes. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. Right, I just did this part first, then times 10. All right, so the volume in cubic centimeters is going to be this. So we got, all right, so we have 2 1/2 times 2 times 1 3/4. Got to make them improper fractions. So that's going to be 5 halves times 2 over 1 times 7/4. Those 2's will cancel out there. So that gives us 35 top times top over 4. Okay, if you divide that out, so 4 goes into 35 8 times 32. So 8 and 3 remainder out of 4. So it's 8 3/4 cubic centimeters. All right, and this last one here is actually going to be 1/8 inch cubes. Okay, so 1 inch, if you divide it by 8s, that's going to be 8 of them, right? But we're going to show the work anyway. So keep, change, flip. So it's 8 over 1 or just 8. 7/8 would hopefully be pretty obvious to you that that's 7 cubes, but we'll show it anyway. So 7/8 divided by 8s, 7/8 times 8 over 1, which is going to give us 7. Right? And then 1 1/2, so that let's go ahead and make that 3 halves. We're going to divide that into 8s. So 3 halves times 8 over 1. 3 times 4, oops. 3 times 4 equals 12 over 1, or just 12. So 12 of the cubes. So therefore, we have how many of the little cubes? Well, 8 times 7 times 12, right? Length times what? Times height. So 8 times 7 is going to be 56 times 12. 56 times 12. All right, and then 2 times 5 is 10, and 1 is 11. All right, 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 5 is 5. All right, so 672. 672 of little cubes. All right, and then the final one, we got the volume in cubic inches, which is going to be just the original problem here, right? Volume equals 1 times 7/8 times the 1 1/2, which I'll go ahead and put as 3 halves. Okay, anything we can cancel out here or reduce before we multiply? The answer is no. So top times top gives us 21. 1 times 7 times 3. Bottom times bottom. 1 times 8 is 8, and 2 is 16. So 16 goes into 21. All right, so 1 and 5 over 16. Okay, so 1 and 5/16 cubic inches. Okay, so that is our 411 practice, and hopefully that helps some. And when you watch and went over that, I understand it's a tough concept.